Jumping into the Suicide Squad, or if you're still low level in the game, the loadout can be a little bit confusing with all of the items that you collect in the game, what you can do with each of the items, what you should keep, what you should re-roll, what mods you can put on it. There's certainly a lot of customization when it comes to your loadout. Well, today in the video, we're going to go over all of the basics so you have a better idea when you're out in the world completing this story. You'll know what you get and you know what you can do with those items. So first thing is weapons. Now, each character can only use 3 different types of weapon, and each weapon can only be used by 2 different characters. We have Boomerang here. He can only use sniper rifles, SMGs, and shotguns. King Shark, on the other hand, can only use heavy weapons, assault rifles, and shotguns. Also keep in mind that your melee and your traversal mod can only be used by that specific character. So in order to get these specific mods or these melee weapons, you have to play as that character to get them. So for example, I really haven't put in much work on King Shark. I haven't really played as him at all in this game yet. And so I have basically no traversal mods and very, very little melee weapons. Now keep in mind to do a lot of the things that we're getting ready to do with these weapons and these mods and all that stuff, you're gonna need resources. And one way to get resources is obviously to go out in the world and complete things, kill enemies, do the story mode and all of that stuff. But another way to get some is to break down the weapons that you acquire. And so you do have a limited number of slots. So like with your backpack, I guess, as you see in the top right above, or the top left above firearm, it says out of 300. So we have 300 total slots. So we could certainly put in and collect a lot more gear. But if you want to go into your inventory and select items to be broken down, like your commons, your rares, your basic items. So once you unlock Penguin, you're going to be able to craft different weapons. And by crafting, it means you have to have a blueprint for it. So as you are completing the game, you're going to collect blueprints for certain items. You're going to have GCPD items, you're going to have Amertech items, you're going to have LexCorp items, you're going to have specific items that have specific blueprints. So you're going to complete the story, unlock specific blueprints, then you could go to Penguin and craft them with different amounts of resources. Obviously, the higher the tier, the more resources it's going to cost, and each item is going to have a specific number of augment slots. Legendary is 2 to 3, epic is going to be 1 to 3, and then rare is going to be 1 to 2. Now you can do this with all the different types of items that you can equip. So for example, going back to my King Shark example, I have not played with him hardly at all. So therefore I don't have any traversal mods. Now the items that you have in the game are the ones that are going to be equipped by your team. And so King Shark is playing with either a common or uncommon traversal mod. So if I wanted to give him a better one or give the AI a better one, I could go into Penguin. I could craft one of these traversal mods like this one, the infamous item that we got through collecting the story. Now it automatically equipped to Boomerang because we got a free one, but we can get another one and equip it to King Shark. So if I were to craft this, I get in between 2 to 3 augments. In this particular case, I only got 2 augments, and I also got 1 piece of the infamy set in which you can collect both of the items on one particular character and get extra bonuses. Now another thing that Penguin offers is going to be your overhaul. That's where you take all of the stats and all of the augments and re-roll them. Now how is this useful? Well, in a lot of ways it is definitely useful if the augments are really low stats or really low bonuses. But more importantly, if you only got 2 in this particular case, where I could get 3, you probably might want to re-roll it and try to get 3. And so if I only have 2 right now, the only way to make it with 3 augments is going to try to overhaul it. It will change the stats as well. The damage will change, the traversal percentage will change. Not always, but sometimes they do. But most importantly, your augments could change. And so like right there, we just re-rolled all the stats and we got our 3 total augments that we want. So let's say I don't have a very good assault rifle. I'm going to go into Penguin. I'm going to find one of the assault rifles that I want to craft. At least as of right now, I could have Star Labs at GCPD or a random one. I'm going to just pick a random one. And in this particular case, we only got one single augment, which is obviously not very good, the quick pulsar. But since it only got one out of the possible 3 augments, I'm gonna want to overhaul it. And so we're gonna try to overhaul it to try to get 3 total augments. And for this particular case, that one didn't work. So we're gonna try to overhaul it again. And this time, the second time of overhauling, we were able to get 3 augments. So Penguin is very useful for crafting weapons and overhauling the stats and augments of the weapons. Now, Toyman, on the other hand, that is going to be what you're going to do to modify some of these augments that you particularly get. Again, we're going back to the close pulsar right here that we had with our 3 augments. Now, max is 3, so I would not recommend doing this until you get a weapon that has maximum amount of augments and probably the maximum amount of stats, or at least a decent amount that you're happy with when it comes to the stats. And so with the modifications of the augments, we can only pick one. We can't modify all of them, but we can only pick one. Now, later on in the game, will it let you do more than one? I don't know. We're not there yet. But at least as of right now, we can only pick one. And it's going to be in rarity tiers, uncommon, rare, and epic. And so we got to pick one of these that we do not like. And so if you hold down the right trigger on each of the tiers, you can see what you could possibly get. So 5% ammo reserve. Now, possible augments is from 5 to 10. So we pretty much got the lowest roll that we could get when it comes to our uncommon, which is pretty crappy. On our rare side, we got 13% shield harvest chance, which also goes up to 15, but we could get something like 10 to 20% assault rifle damage, which sounds pretty good. I think I might want to get that. But then the next one, 10% damage to afflicted enemies with any affliction with this firearm. And again, that's the lowest percentage. But there's so many other good ones right here. 40 to 50% assault rifle crit hit damage with it. 25 to 40% firearm damage when magazine is above 50%. 5 to 10 affliction. So there's a bunch of different options. And so for me, the lowest one possible, I'm going to pick this epic side and we are going to modify this. Now you do get to pick now. You can pick the original one, the current one, you can keep that, or you could go with anything else. We have 7% affliction resource from enemy kills, which is nice, getting the affliction resource. 45% of assault rifle crit hit damage with the firearm, 3% suicide strike. I'm going to go crit hit damage on this one because getting crit hits is very useful. 45% is quite a bit. And so we're going to roll that. Now, as you see that this item is now locked, all these other 2 right here are currently locked. But if we want to modify this again, we can, and we can re-roll this one particular item and try to get something else. And so if we wanted something else that we were looking for, we could certainly re-roll it again. But keep in mind, this is going to cost you resources, lots and lots and lots of resources. But out of the ones we got right here, I'm going to keep the current one I got. Toyman also has another spot in here that's unlocked through story progression, which we haven't got to yet. So we're not sure. Like I said, this is going to be kind of a beginner guide, but at least through chapter 4, which is what we're on, or we're on chapter 4 right now. This is still not unlocked, so you do have to play a little bit or quite a bit to get this unlocked. Now with Poison Ivy, you're going to be able to apply afflictions to specific weapons, and you're going to be able to supercharge them, but I don't quite know what supercharge is just yet because, like I said, we're only on chapter 4 right now, so later on when you get to there, you'll be able to do that. But as far as affliction goes, at least at my current level, Deep Freeze, Venom Frenzy, 2 different ones. This freezes enemies. This causes enemies to attack each other. So depending on what you want them to do, afflictions can only be applied to melee or grenades. And so when you craft weapons, when poison ivy is unlocked, when you craft weapons or pick up items, some items could have random ones, but if you wanted to change them or put a different one on there, you can certainly apply any affliction to that. And so deep freeze and venom frenzy, but it will cost you resources. And then on the weapons, we have nano enhancements, which enhance your weapon in particular stats. Now, this isn't going to be unlocked till after chapter 3, after chapter 3. I don't want to spoil anything. But once you get past chapter 3, the nano enhancements will unlock. Now, this is where you can apply to any specific item. So accuracy, stability, zoom, reload speed, or magazine size. And once you unlock it, up here on the top right side where it says 1/1, the bottom is how many nano enhancements you can get, which are random. I kind of have figured out it's sort of a random number, just depending. I think the highest I've seen is 5. And in order to get more nano enhancements, like on this particular weapon, we have up to 5 total nano enhancements. You have to play with this item, kill things, do damage with this item in order to get XP. The next nano enhancement, 1,000 total. And so once you hit that 1,000, then you get another slot that you could put on here. Now, once you unlock nano enhancements, all of the previous weapons that you have accumulated do not have nano enhancements on them. So if you have a particular item or a particular weapon that you really, really like, well, you're going to have to go back over to Penguin and overhaul it in order to get it. Now, it might erase some of the augments that you have found to be really, really good, but that is the only way to get them. And so, besides for the new gear that you do get after that. And so, like, if I really like this final round sniper, it only has 2 augments right here, but let's say I really like it and I wanted to keep using it. If I were to overhaul it, then it's going to add that nano enhancement on it. But again, I only got 1 out of 3 augments on that one. And so that's kind of obviously a really bad roll. I'm going to try this again just so we could try to get 2 or 3. That one's, again, a pretty bad roll. We only got 2. While that one, we finally got 3. And as you see on the top right, it does roll with those nano enhancements. There's 2 out of the 5 on there right now. Now, the same thing is going to apply when it comes to the melee weapons. Now, the melee weapons, again, can have afflictions on them, but until you get afflictions unlocked, none of your melee weapons are going to have them. It's going to be the same thing with grenades. And so, like this particular item, it's an uncommon right now, but it doesn't have any affliction. That means I got it before afflictions were unlocked. But I can go in here and I can overhaul it, and it will give me a random affliction. Another thing that you can do with these loadouts, let's say you have a particular loadout that works really, really well in the finite crisis, but really not as good out in the open world or running on the story or doing something like that. Well, you can save your loadouts, which is also a really helpful feature. If you go on the loadout screen, hold down Y, you have all of these empty slots that you can save a particular loadout and not have to worry about trying to figure out what it was you used last time. Another useful way to get gear is to get the care packages from Aaron Cash. Now, you get these care packages by shooting down the carrier drones, those things that fly up in the air holding on to the civilians. Now, if you kill a bunch of these or knock them down or destroy them, every single day you get care packages. Now, this can be ranked up, I believe, all the way to legendary. The highest I've gotten is epic so far. But it looked like I was on the legendary track. So I think that you could get all the way to legendary, but every day, this resets every 24 hours. So you can grind, a whole bunch of these and get a bunch of these carrier drones down, get an epic or legendary package, and it's going to give you that quality of gear. Testing your weapons can also be important, and so they do have a kind of a small firing range here, and so you could bring any weapon over here and then just test it. See how it does compared to, the rest of your items. You can check damage. You can see how much each of, does with headshots, how often you get the crits, all of that stuff. So this is a fairly useful feature, even though it is, these basic enemies. At least it gives you a way to test things and kind of compare the damage amounts and numbers. So some final tips when it comes to your weapons and all of the things in the loadouts. My personal opinion is I really wouldn't worry about or necessarily keep anything rare and below. You can only get 2 augment slots on rare. It's not till you get to epic and above in which you can get 3 augment slots. Now, a lot of these weapons are going to perform very, very similar in the standard DPS, magazine, recoil, all of that stuff. I have found to be a lot of them very, very similar. Where they separate themselves from each other and with the tiers is going to be all of these augments and all of these different things that you can attach to the weapons. So I would only focus on keeping the best items in epic and above. If you really, really like a rare one, okay, fine. I mean, I don't want to say that you can't keep it, because you can. Every single gun can be used the entire game. That is one good thing about this game, is that there's no leveling when it comes to the weapons. So you can use a same weapon whenever you want, a same mod, a same transversal mod. You can use any of that stuff, melee weapons, all of that stuff at any point in the game, because there's no leveling. You just won't have the augments and the extra augments and be able to get that extra things that you really need for like Infinite Crisis and stuff like that. But either way, hopefully this did help you, break down, what it is that you can and can't do with the weapon system in the game in the beginning. I mean, we still have to unlock a lot of things in the game, but at least in the beginning, where it is a little bit confusing, you kind of have a better idea, maybe a better grasp on how to approach all the weapons and the items that you are getting moving forward. But either way, I will see y'all again. Hopefully y'all enjoying launch day, regular launch day for everybody. I will see y'all very soon. Come in and join the stream on Twitch, on YouTube, because we do stream over there all the time. I'll see y'all next time, guys. We're out.